Hello and good evening. It is the 9th of October 2025, and what I've got in front of me is the wire from one of my lampshades that I had hanging from the ceiling in the property that I am renting. Now, most people have already said to me that if I am going to be evicted, then why don't I just hire a skip and throw everything that I own in the bin? Well, for starters, a lot of the stuff that I own, it does have what is called a resaleable value. So if I'm not able to sell it, which would really, really annoy me, because then I could potentially use that money to be rehoused, hopefully, before Christmas, I will gift aid whatever I am unable to sell by the 9th of November to a local charity in Nuneaton, which is more than likely going to be the Mary Ann Evans Hospice. The reason I'm going to say that one, or even Myton Hospice, or the other one that I may consider, would be the Salvation Army in Nuneaton. It's because they are three of the main charities that are still open in Nuneaton today. Despite the recession, despite us having COVID, they are still thriving. And they are also what I would class as local charities that help people locally. And ironically, a lot of the stuff in my house I brought from them in the first place. So in a way, I've brought them, I've donated the money to charity. I no longer need this furniture because I will no longer have a property to put it in. I cannot afford to put it into storage, and I am not going to hire a skip and just throw it in the bin needlessly. All three of those charities that I have mentioned, just by having a simple phone call, they will literally come and collect these items from me. They are still in immaculate condition, despite being secondhand in the first place. Anything else that I then cannot get rid of, I will do what is called an uplift from Nuneaton and Bedworth Borough Council. I've done it before. I did it for my next door neighbours last year. And then anything else that is not MDF and nobody wants, I will probably just burn on bonfire night. So we are going to be having a bonfire party in November, which is why I am currently sorting everything out now. Now, as I was saying, let's get back to this item in front of me. It is a lampshade. This part of the lampshade is metal. So this can go in the recycling bin, or it could be upcycled and reused if you know what to do with it. Now, the actual shade itself was absolutely gorgeous. And again, it was from a charity shop. It was probably from Second Time Around, which is a local charity shop near where I live in Nuneaton. And I brought it because it had what looked like... I can't think of the word. There are weeds, dandelions. That's it. They look like dandelions. Now, this unfortunately did get damaged. I couldn't use it anymore because it wasn't emitting enough light into the property. But for a couple of quid, which is what I brought it for, I thought, you know what? I'll buy it. I'll try it. If it doesn't work, and nothing ventured, nothing gained. So what has ended up happening with this is I have cut it off the actual shade metal hoop, as I want to call it myself. There was a piece of plastic inside the shade, which is probably why not so much light was being admitted. Now, I personally do not know whether this plastic could be recycled, but it is definitely something that I can make a stencil out of, and all will be revealed shortly. So I'm going to keep this and make a stencil out of it. And with the material itself, I will upcycle the material. Now, what is actually on the back of the material in order to give it a bit more structure is like a plastic coating. And as you can see, it is really, really brittle. So I can just literally scrunch it up in my hand and bits are going to fall off. Now, it's for this reason that the entire item itself is not 100% recyclable. Now, most furniture, if it has a fabric coating or fabric layer on it, on occasions, the fabric itself or the material that is used can be reduced, reused, or upcycled. Now, this feels like suede to me. And in order for it to be a light fitting, it would have had to have been flame retardant fabric to prevent a fire, which is ironic considering the actual inner layer of it is two different types of plastic, which, as you know, when it gets hot, it melts. And what happens to a light? When you have a light on for a long period of time, it emits heat. So again, if this was not fixed correctly around the light fitting itself, there could be a potential risk that by putting up a lampshade or a light shade, if it was to then accidentally touch the light bulb, this plastic could have potentially burned. And because you have the structure, which is made of metal, it helps to prevent that from happening by keeping a certain gap between the light and heat source itself and the actual lampshade. So I'm taking all this off because it's, like I said, it's completely brittle. It's literally just falling off. But by removing it, it is going to make the fabric very pliable to be used for something else in the future, because it doesn't have this hard standing backing on it. And again, the reason I'm getting rid of this, which sadly is going to go into a black bin liner, it will go into a landfill, is because I don't need it. And what I'm hoping to do with this, but sadly I can't see me doing it now until the new year, so I don't see the point of setting up my sewing machine if I'm going to be evicted in the next 2 months. I will upcycle this fabric and make it into something else. So for the time being, all I'm going to do is remove all of this backing, and then I will fold up the fabric and I will put it into my fabric box with everything else, which will then go to storage. It's really heartbreaking to think that, I was so enthusiastic and I was saying to my son, I'm going to teach you how to use a sewing machine before Christmas, and we are going to make some gifts for family and friends. And now, instead of doing that, I am literally having to put my whole life into plastic boxes again and decide what I'm going to keep, what is going to go for sale, if anyone would even buy it is another thing. And if anything doesn't sell, then can it be reduced, reused, recycled, or donated to a local charity? And that is currently where I am at this moment in time. So I thought I would do this quick video, just, again, it's a bit of information about, when you do purchase something, think about how it is made. And that is the one thing I always loved when I used to do design and technology when I was younger, is reverse engineering a product. So you would look at a dress or a hat or a scarf or a pair of gloves, and you would say, okay, that looks absolutely amazing, but how is it produced? How is it designed? What fabric has been used? What time, what labour, what resources, what material, what equipment has been used? And we would literally have to take an item apart, a bit like I've done here, and then write a report about it at school and say, okay, we've used cotton for this item, but how is cotton produced? So again, even something as simple as an organic material like cotton, in order to produce it and in order to make it into a dress or a pair of gloves or a hat or a scarf or even lace, how is that raw material produced? And how labor intensive is it to produce the end product? And whereas today, one of the things that they would focus more on is the carbon footprint of how something is made and manufactured. But the one thing that they always, in my opinion, seem to forget is just because something is made in a foreign country and people are not getting paid the same amount per hour as they would in, say, the United Kingdom, is that person still on a fair wage? And that is where they have brought in something which is called fair trade, and basically making sure that wherever and whenever possible, companies are ensuring that anything that is made and manufactured and then sold by them, they are supposed to have the knowledge and know-how and traceability to say how that product has been made and manufactured, and that the people that are producing it are not being used as what would still be called as modern day slave labor. So again, that is a separate issue, but it is something that seems to get lost even in today's society. People will say, oh, there's no such thing as slavery. And it's like, no, there is. And slavery will never be abolished. But again, that is just my opinion. But there are statistics and there are facts to kind of back that up. And this is why I'm always saying to people, think about what you're purchasing. Think about what is going to happen to that product when you no longer need it or want it. And what time and energy and effort has gone into producing it. And who has made or manufactured it in the first place. So thank you very much for listening. I hope that you found this video useful. I actually love doing this because it's so tactile. And again, it kind of feeds in with my SEN needs. So although I'm like really, really stressed out at the moment and mentally, physically and emotionally, I just don't know how to process the fact that I am going to become homeless again in the next couple of months. This is kind of taking my mind off things and giving me something, in a way, positive to focus on, because I know that I've not just gone and got a skip and just thrown everything in it needlessly and it's all going to end up in landfill. So once again, thank you for your time. It's so much appreciated. Please leave any comments if you wish to do so. And remember, anything that is abusive or offensive to myself or anyone else will be removed. So thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your evening.